axe-wielding woman coming out of the woods, naked. That's right, you heard it right. An axe-wielding woman coming out of the woods, chasing after a man, and she's naked. What kind of story is this? Well, it's coming from South Louisiana, Slidell, Louisiana. And according to a Facebook post by the Slidell Police Department, they said, we can't make this stuff up. And they also titled next to it, a horror story on the campsite. Let us set the scene. Now I'm reading directly from the Slidell Police Department's Facebook post. The woods, a campsite, a generous citizen, and a nude woman with an axe. Also, throw in a looming solar eclipse. That's right, this happened on the eve or eves prior to the solar eclipse. Earlier this week, the Slidell police received a report of a woman dressed only in her birthday suit who chased a man out of the woods with an old rusty axe. According to the victim, he has been helping a homeless gentleman get back on his feet and make it back home to Mississippi. While checking on the gentleman in a nearby patch of woods, he encountered an angry female who was completely nude and armed with a rusty old axe. Note, the victim has never encountered this female before in his life. This man ain't never seen this woman. During the short encounter, the naked woman raised the axe above her head and began chasing him with this axe. Fearing for his safety, of course, the victim ran out of the woods with the woman following closely behind him, still armed with that axe. The victim was able to outrun the woman and make it safely back to his vehicle. The woman was last seen walking down a public roadway, still bearing all of her glory. The Slidell Police Department was able to identify the female and issue an arrest warrant for aggravated assault and obscenity. This is her second offense. Yes, this isn't the first time that this lady has been caught strutting around in her birthday suit. The woman is still on the loose, but Slidell's finest will catch up to her soon. Till next time. According to the Slidell Police Department's Facebook post. Man, let's talk about it. So Slidell, Louisiana, to set the scene, is on the north shore of Louisiana, roughly about 20 minutes tops from New Orleans, meaning New Orleans East. So if you're coming from New Orleans and heading to Slidell, you're going to go through New Orleans East, which is a basic open swamp area, or it's part of the New Orleans East area where it's more open wooded areas or abandoned area where the abandoned amusement park is. You'll see if you're heading to Slidell from New Orleans, the old amusement park, Six Flags theme park, whatever you want to call it. I forgot what it was called. But during the time of that being open and that theme park being, up and jumping, I was incarcerated, so I really don't have, I don't really have any memories of it. I just know that Hurricane Katrina basically shut it down for good. There's been talks about what it's going to be and what it ain't going to be, but I'm sure there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in that abandoned amusement park. Anyway, you're going to pass that up, and you're eventually going to get to a place called Slidell, Louisiana. Now, let me tell you about the North Shore in Slidell, Louisiana. I remember growing up and hearing all kinds of stories about the wooded areas on the North Shore. That's right. Now, I had aunts who lived on the North Shore. And one of my aunts in general used to always tell us these little crazy, spooky stories to try to, I guess, scare us or entertain us. I don't remember. But anyway, I have these memories of her telling us these stories about the stuff that's going on in the woods and that there was crazy people in the woods and that you didn't want to get caught up in the woods. So in my mind, I'm like, man, they got some throwed off people in Slidell, you know what I mean, in them woods, in Mandeville in them woods, so you don't want to go back there and get caught up. You don't know what what kind of weird stuff they're going to do to you, right? So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about when I hear this story, because why they got a naked woman in the woods? There's a naked woman in the woods bearing an axe. Now they showed pictures of this axe. Now let me tell you, this wasn't like no good axe. This woman was nude. She had an axe, and if you'd seen the pictures of the axe, the axe head is there, and then right around the wooded area there, you could see where the fire caught it. So I'm not even sure how strong the wood handle actually is, because you could see the charred parts of the wood right underneath the metal axe head, where it's almost halfway eaten from fire into the wood. So the sturdiness of the axe handle is compromised. This woman might actually hit herself in the process of trying to hit somebody else with this axe. But anyway, this goes to confirm the stories that I used to hear, that they had crazy people in the woods in Slidell and in the North Shore of Louisiana. So growing up, I remember on the news back in the day during the in the 80s and the 90s, there used to be stories of devil worshippers in the woods in Mandeville, in the woods. I remember these stories coming on news, and it used to intrigue me. I'm like, man, they got devil worshippers. What they doing? Well, they were sacrificing cats. They were sacrificing dogs. Yeah, that's right. I used to think to myself, man, if I catch somebody sacrificing a cat and dog, I'm going to get with them. You know what I mean? Because I used to have, you know, I still do. I have a compassion thing. I don't want to hurt no innocent animal. You know, I don't get down like that. But anyway, I used to think to myself, man, what they doing in the woods and why they sacrificing them animals? They got devil worship in the woods. So as a kid, you scared, you like nervous. You're like, I don't want to get caught in the woods. You know, I don't want to devil worship or to sacrifice me. But that was the type of stories that you used to hear when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s about stuff that was happening in the woods of the North Shore. And here we are in 2024, and they got a nude woman running around the woods with an axe. All right, this guy who was the victim, and he's not identified, was in the woods trying to help another homeless person who was in the woods. So now we know they got homeless people in the woods in Slidell. But what they got a naked woman in the woods in Slidell. And according to the report and other reports that I read and watched, this isn't this woman's first time with being caught walking around the wooded area naked. That's right. She goes to the store naked. Everything she does is naked. So I guess she's just living old school, you know. But anyway, they identified this woman. I think her name was Angela Wagner, according to the reports. And there's not a lot of information on it. They just said that the police arrested her. They don't know what's going on because this isn't her first time with being nude. But this is her first time with being nude and chasing somebody with an axe. She was threatening to harm or hurt a person who was, you know, trying to help somebody else. So obviously this stuff is starting to escalate. First time she gets arrested nude. Next time she gets arrested nude while chasing somebody with an axe. Who knows what she's capable of doing next? Obviously, there's some screws loose in her head. This woman's obviously suffering from some kind of emotional, mental, or some kind of trauma, and she's not stable. But she's running around Slidell in the woods, and they got kids. When I was a kid, we played in the woods. We went in the woods. We did all kind of stuff in the woods. We explored. We played games. You know, we did all kind of crazy stuff in the woods. We had fun in the woods. That was a place that it was before the internet. So you went to the woods to have fun. And so you don't know what can happen. You know, you got to watch your children too. And look, it don't have to be in the woods. It could be anywhere. But this story is crazy because it's a naked lady chasing somebody out of the woods with an axe. Now, all kind of thoughts will start running through your mind when you hear the story. First, you're intrigued, like, man, what's going on? Why is a naked woman running after a man from out of the woods? You know, so all kind of start popping in your head. And you start thinking of all kind of crazy things. Obviously, it didn't turn into a bloodbath. It didn't turn into an actual horror story. It was, you know, the man obviously outran this woman. And, you know, here we are today. But anyway, this is just another crazy story that's coming from South Louisiana, where we get all kind of crazy crime stories. It's never ending. In fact, there's so many of them you can't keep up with it. But that's the way it is across the whole United States, and I'm sure the world. There's always some kind of crazy crime story on the news that you can discuss and talk about. But anyway, crazy axe-wielding woman naked chasing man out the woods. Give me a like, subscribe, as I tried to get this Southern crime and incarceration off the ground and running. I appreciate you watching. What say you? Share your opinions on what you think about this woman and her actions and what actually should happen to her. Obviously, she has some mental, disabilities, and she needs to be looked at by mental health professionals to diagnose what's wrong with her. But I don't think she should be able to stay on the street, because if she's willing to chase somebody with an axe, even if of her intent and she's just crazy and she's just trying to run them away, anything crazy can happen. It just takes one froggish moment, boom, and she hits the man with the axe and kills him. You know what I mean? A hit right here with the axe, or right here, will kill you. You'll die. And this woman is unstable. And she might not have obviously she had a motive to harm him. You know what I mean? We don't know what's running through her head, because I've seen people who get into physical confrontation and they try to threaten people, but they really don't want to go there. In prison, you see it all the time. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the animal kingdom, right? Huh? The lions is boom, he's bowing up. The bear's bowing up. up. The bear's bone up. But he really don't want the confrontation. He's just trying to warn you, hey, stay away from me. Porcupine krills up. The porcupine don't want no trouble, but the porcupine's trying to say, hey, stay away from me because I don't want to have to go there. Maybe that's what this woman was doing. Maybe she was just all, she was stunting, saying she was going to do this thing with this axe, but she really ain't had no intent to harm nobody. You know what I mean? But in the end, it only takes one frog. One of I say it's like she's froggy. So she gets froggy and she actually does something and bam, and she really didn't mean to kill him. She could harm this man. You know what I mean? So the police have to do a better job and keep this woman in jail or put her in a mental institute where she obviously belongs. I know there's a lot of mental health people. In fact, the Slidell Woods is probably filled with people who are crazy. You don't want to go in the woods of Slidell. Back in the 80s and the 90s, they had devil worshippers. Now they just got crazy people in the woods on the North Shore. So you want to avoid the woods on the North Shore. And, of course, unless you're going hunting, you know what I mean? Because obviously you're going to have your shotgun with you or your rifle. So, and this is in more wooded suburban areas. So you're not supposed to be hunting right here anyway. So you just got to be careful, man. The houses in the neighborhoods are not far from the woods where these homeless people are setting up encampments. And people's kids got to go in there, man. We got to do a better job as society in dealing with this crazy people in these homeless situations. Our society is all off. I don't have all the answers, but I know a lot of what we're doing ain't working. And sometimes people got to stay in jail. That's right. They just too crazy to let out in society because they're going to hurt an innocent person. An innocent kid. It could get bad. There's a reason they got mental institutions. And what's crazy? The North Shore, when the whole time I was growing up in Louisiana, the North Shore was always known to have crazy houses, mental institutions in Mandeville. So anyway, that's the story of the crazy axe-wielding woman. So if you're going in the woods, think about it. There just might be a naked woman hiding in the bushes or behind a tree watching you as she holds her axe and contemplates chasing you out of the woods. Give me a like and subscribe. Southern Crime and Incarceration. Until next time, let's get it.